Uno más, uno más, uno más. Hi, I'm Caleb Jones. This is Unchained CEO. We talk about how to set up your own location-independent consulting or service-based business that frees you from your 9-to-5 job and gets you location-independent so that you can, if you want, move to a less bad country or at least set up an international backup plan and do all these things for very little money. And today we're going to talk about my home. I have two homes. My second home, but first in my heart. Now they're both first in my heart. Paraguay, I'm here now. Those of you who may or may not already know this, I have two homes. I live in Dubai and Paraguay. Roughly half the year, not exactly. I live in Dubai 7 months a year. I live in Paraguay the other 5 months a year. And that's going to be my long-term schedule going forward for probably the rest of my life, unless something weird happens. And Trump's in the UAE right now. Cool. I guess I'll have to miss him. He shouldn't go to the UAE now. It's too hot, so I'm not there. Anyway, I have been, by the way, Billy may or may not be joining us in a little while because she has a lot to say about Paraguay and she is in charge of all the residency stuff. And also you can get a different perspective on her, what she likes about Paraguay, what she doesn't. So what I'm going to do in this presentation is I'm going to list out all the positives. Well, let me give the background first. Those of you who don't know, I have been coming to Paraguay since 2018. That's when I first started coming here. Is that right? Yes. So I've been coming here for 7 years. Matter of fact, that's the title of this podcast, isn't it? 7 years in Paraguay. So I've spent significant time in Paraguay in the last 7 years. I now live here. I am a permanent legal resident here, literally permanent. I have permanent residency here. I could even get citizenship here, but I'm not supposed to talk about that. My attorney said to shut up, so I can't talk about that. But I'm a permanent resident. I'm a legal resident. I have a cedula. I do not speak Spanish, but I'm learning every day. It's very hard when you're 53 to learn a new language, even though Spanish isn't that hard, but still, shit. I'm learning tense. Tense is very difficult in Spanish. Anyway, so I've been coming here a long time, so I know a lot about this place. And as I've talked about many times, both Dubai and Paraguay, my two homes, I'm 100% location dependent. Been location dependent for 15 plus years now. And I have a decent income. So I have the ability to live pretty much anywhere in the world I want. So of the 195 different countries on planet Earth, I chose as the top two of 195 countries, Dubai, Paraguay. Is Paraguay for everyone? No. Just like Dubai is not for everyone. And so in this presentation, I'm going to cover all the positives of Paraguay. And I'm always objective about this and rational. I'm going to give you the negatives of Paraguay because no country has no negatives. I love guys say, well, I would never move there because of this. Okay, yeah. Every country you can possibly move to is going to have some things that are irritating that you don't like. There's no such thing as a perfect country. I'm sorry. The closest thing you can do is doing what I'm doing is live in 2 or 3 countries and extract the benefits from both. That's the ideal scenario if you don't mind having multiple homes and multiple flags. And some people do, and that's fine. So I'm going to cover the negatives too. There aren't very many negatives, but there are a few. There are a few things about Paraguay that drive me crazy. Just like there are a few things about Dubai that drive me crazy, but the positives vastly overwhelm the small number of negatives. Critically important about both Dubai and Paraguay. And that is that they are both very distinctive countries. So if you put every country on Earth on a scale of distinctiveness versus kind of being a standard country, both Dubai and Paraguay, which are radically different from each other, there's no comparison between these two countries, which is why I have them both, is on the far end of one scale. The other end of the scale would be a country like, what's a good example of a very standard milquetoast? Portugal. So if you spent a week in Portugal, having never been there in your life, I promise you 2 things. First thing I promise you is you're not going to go to Portugal and go, oh my God, this place is amazing. I love this place. I want to move here. Said about Portugal, no one ever. I know some of you live in Portugal, but even those who live in Portugal will agree with me. You love, oh my God, it's amazing here. No. Now, to be fair to Portugal, that's the first thing I'll promise. Here's the second thing I'll promise. You won't hate it. You won't spend a week in Portugal and by day 3 go, oh my God, I hate this place. Get me the fuck out of here. So you won't hate Portugal and you won't love Portugal because it's kind of a standard place. Okay. Whereas Dubai And Paraguay, very different. If you come to do Paraguay, I said do Paraguay. If you come to Paraguay, spend a week here, one of two things will happen. I don't know which one, but this will happen. You will love it or you will hate it, just like Dubai. If you go to Dubai for a week, you will go, oh my God, this is the coolest place on earth. We're moving here. That's it. And I've had many of you come to Dubai in my audience, and even like you bring your wife, you're like, all right, that's it. We're moving here next year. And you move. And I've had a handful of you go to Dubai, go, oh, I hate the city. Get me out of here. Same thing with Paraguay. You'll come to Paraguay and you'll go, oh my God, this place is fucking amazing. And you'll completely fall in love with it, which is what happened to me in 2018, which is what happened to Billy about 4 years ago. She fell in love with it because that's what happens. Or you'll come to Paraguay, go, gross, get me out of here. This sucks. So just be aware of this. These are very distinctive countries. So Paraguay's in that very distinctive country zone. Let's see. So positives of Paraguay. I'm not listing these in any particular order, but here they are. The people. So in my book, Freedom Fortress, caleb.top/freedom, which you should get, I talk about how there is a ranking scale of a certain quality of countries called friendliness to foreigners. And some countries hate foreigners. Some countries tolerate foreigners. Some countries are indifferent to foreigners. Some countries like foreigners. Some countries love foreigners. It's 5 levels, okay? France, they hate foreigners. Japan, they don't like foreigners. They'll tolerate you, they don't really like you. United States, they don't care if you're a foreigner or not. Okay? Paraguay, they like foreigners. And then Fiji would be a place where they love foreigners. So Paraguay, the people are, A, they like foreigners. B, they are super friendly. Every country, just about every country in the world I've been to, I've been all over the world, I will see people scream and yell at each other. I will see it. I can't remember a time in the last 7 years, I'm trying to think, I can't remember once where I saw 2 Paraguayans screaming at each other in public. I can't remember. I have never had in 7 years a negative experience with someone living in Paraguay with me. Someone being rude to me or mean to me or raising their voice. Never happened. Not once. And honestly, I racked my brain the other day. Can I remember a scenario in the last 7 years where I saw 2 people in Paraguay screaming at each other, angry in Spanish? No. Now, to be objective, this is still a Latin culture. It is still a lower end culture. It is still a more patriarchal culture. So you will have drama and problems in private behind closed doors. There are families here where the husband beats up the wife and smacks the kids around. That certainly does happen here. But in my experience, it happens privately behind closed doors. It doesn't happen out in public. I mean, countries where people are friendly, I've seen people scream at each other. Australia. I've seen Australians are some of the nicest people, the most chill, relaxed, fun people on earth, Australians. Your country is horrible. Your government is horrible. You shouldn't live in Australia. What the fuck are you doing in Australia? But the Australians, the people are very nice. But even in Australia, when I go to Australia, I will see Australians fucking scream at each other and fuck you, I'll kill you. I've seen it. Paraguay, I've never seen it. I have classified Paraguayans as the relaxed Hispanics. They are still Hispanic. They're still emotional and passionate and fiery, but they're way down the scale from places like Colombia, Mexico, Brazil. They're not nearly as emotional about this. So like if you go to a Latin city outside of Paraguay, you'll see a lot of people honking their horns. You'll see some of that in Paraguay, but not much because they're chill. Paraguayans are the chill Hispanics. Just how it is. Just super fucking friendly people. The diametric opposite to modern day Americans. So when you come to Paraguay and start interacting with people, even if you don't speak Spanish, it's just nothing but friendliness. Smiles, nods. They're very patient. They're funny. They're not as funny and jovial as like Filipinos, but they're just really cool fucking people. Am I saying Paraguay is the only country on earth that has cool fucking people? No. There are a lot of countries with cool people, chill, relaxed people, but Paraguay is one of them. So there you go. Next one, the weather. I'm looking outside right now. God damn. So minus 3 or 4 months, which I will cover in a moment. The weather in Paraguay is, I'll use Fahrenheit, 81 degrees and sunny and clear for at least the 5, 6, 7 months that I spend time here. I don't spend 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months contiguously, but when I visit here, I'm either here for 5 months or I'm here outside that 5 months and I visit. The weather's amazing. Minus 3 or 4 months, their summer, which is December, January, February, where it's blazingly hot. So just so you're aware of this, I mean, I guess I could cover this in the negatives, but I'll cover it now. November, certainly December, certainly January, certainly February. It is boiling hot in Paraguay. It is so hot. The Paraguayans complain about it. And they're used to this. They grew up in this. Whereas in Dubai, it's boiling hot now. But in Dubai, no one complains about it because, like, well, yeah, we live in a desert. Well, of course it's hot. Whereas Paraguay, it's green and pretty, and it doesn't look like a place to be super hot. It gets very hot here. So just be aware of that. But outside of those 3 or 4 months, the weather here is amazing. The weather here is literally, as I'm looking out my window here, you know what I was thinking the other day? This is Paraguay, the weather. The weather here is equivalent to the weather in Portland, Oregon, where I grew up, in the summertime in the 80s. Today, the weather patterns in the Pacific Northwest United States, Seattle, Portland, that area is kind of fucked up. Climate change is real. It actually is happening because the climate in Portland is nothing like it is now, like it was when I was a kid in the 80s. But like in the 80s, in the summer or the months surrounding the summer in Oregon, they were beautiful. They were mild, 81 degrees, sunny, clear skies, great air quality. I'll talk about air quality in a minute. That's what Paraguay is like. It's like me. It's like I've time warped back to my childhood in Portland, Oregon in the 80s and 90s with the perfect, amazing summers and fall and summer, fall. What's the other one? Winter, summer, fall, spring. Spring, summer, fall in Oregon 40 years ago. It's amazing. I love being outside. It's so fun here. It's great. The weather's just fantastic. Minus those 3 or 4 months. So to be aware of this, if you move to Paraguay full time, just like if you move to Dubai full time, they both have the same problem. And frankly, most countries have this problem. There's going to be 3 or 4 months. It's going to be boiling hot. So your options are A, do what I do and don't be there during those 3 or 4 months. B, what some Paraguayans do, especially the more wealthy ones, they travel a lot during those months. That's when they go down to like Buenos Aires, Uruguay, specifically Montevideo or Punta del Este. They might go over to Santiago. They might go up to Colombia, especially places like Bogota, which aren't too hot in the summertime. And they'll just travel a lot to less hot areas during those 3 or 4 months. Or option 3, you stay here in Paraguay and you stay inside in the air conditioning. Air conditioning works fine. Is this effective as Dubai? No, but it works. The AC works just fine in Paraguay. And again, you'll be living in the wealthier areas if you stay in Paraguay. So not a big deal. One note about this is just about every country on planet Earth has several months a year where the weather fucking sucks. So you cannot say, I'm not going to move to this country, even if you're talking about Dubai or any country. I don't want to move there because during these 3 months, it's really hot. Or during these 3 months, it's rainy and gross and cloudy all the fucking time. Welcome to every fucking country on Earth. Damn near every country on Earth, with rare exception, has 2 to 4 horrible weather months per year. That's just the way this goes. So if you are location dependent like me, you mitigate that by not being there during those months. So I am in the 7 months in Dubai when the weather is amazing, and the 5 months in Paraguay where the weather is amazing. So I get 12 months a year of perfect weather. It's a goal I had many years ago for a long, long time. It's awesome. So just be aware of this. You cannot disqualify any country as a living flag for yourself because 2 or 3 or 4 months have shitty weather, including Dubai. Because Dubai is shitty June, July, August, and kind of September, really bad in Dubai. That's why I'm not there right now. And as soon as it starts getting fucking hot here, I'm leaving, going back to Dubai. Very simple. Now, again, I don't want to have 2 homes. Great. I just give you 3 options. You travel a lot during those few months, or you just stay indoors for 3 and just stay inside. That's what people in Dubai who can't afford to leave Dubai, that's what they do. They just stay inside. They're fine. Cost of living. I've already talked this many times. I'll just give you the overview. Paraguay is about 1/8 the cost of living of the United States. I did a video last week where I had my maid come here and clean my entire apartment, do the entire patio, the entire home here. She spent 3 hours cleaning the place. It cost me $7. You get a massage here in Paraguay, it's going to cost you about $30. A 90-minute massage from a professional, it's going to cost you about $30. When Billy takes out the groups down here, and usually I'm there, and she takes people like, 15 people, she'll take to a steak dinner at one of the most expensive fancy steak restaurants in the entire country. And the meat here is fucking amazing. I should put that as a positive, meat. The meat here tastes so fucking good. The food here is amazing. We will service, a dinner with 15 people, 12 people, steak dinners, alcohol. It costs $260 US, the entire group. My apartment here, I have a nice apartment in a brand new building in the most expensive neighborhood in the entire country. It's $500 a month rent. And I could have gotten something much cheaper in this area. I'm picky. So if you I talk about a location independent income minimum $7,000 a month, right? $85,000 a year. Freedom Fortress income is higher. Forget that. Forget $7,000 a month, like I talk about. If you make $2,000 a month, you make $2,000 a month, location independent, you can live like a king in Paraguay. You will live like a little goddamn king. If you make $2,000 a month and you have no debt, let's throw that in there. You have no debt. Okay. You will live like a little sultan down here. Everything is cheap. Yes, including women and dating. Cheap as fuck. You won't believe it. So pretty big plus. What I said 2 weeks ago, I did a video where I said, you morons who live in the collapsing Western world, United States, Canada, Western Europe, Australia, et cetera, blah, 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 blah. And you say, I can't leave. I can't afford to leave. What did I say to you? I said, you can't afford to stay. You can't afford to live in the United States. If you're a low-income guy or gal, you shouldn't be living in the United States. You should come to Paraguay or Philippines or Cambodia or Peru. There's lots of options. You don't like Paraguay. What the hell are you doing in the United States? Paying the highest taxes on earth and the highest cost of living on earth, damn near. Or Scandinavia or the UK, London. I just saw the article. They just ranked London as the most expensive city in the world overall. London is now number one. Girl, what the fuck are you doing in London? Now, if you make a lot of money, do whatever you want. But if you don't, you should probably check out Paraguay. You might like it. It's amazing. Drink water. Air quality. I'm going to show you an image. Hang on a second here. Air quality. Let me talk about this. I do a lot of, so I have IQ air scanners. I have one here in my office. I have one outside. I have my air purifier here. I have the exact same setup here as I do in Dubai, where I have a IQ air, what's it called? AQI index reader outside on my patio. So I know what the air quality is outside, and I know what the air quality is in my apartment. And I have a Allen Breathe Smart top of the line air purifier. So I'm breathing 100% perfect air at all times, 12 months out of the year. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you something about air quality. Let's make this bigger. You see that? And if you're listening to the podcast, I'll explain this. That is CO2 levels on the Earth. That is a map of the globe, of the world. And as you can see, there's South America here. There's the lower part of Africa. There's Australia right there. Everything else is basically fucking covered in CO2, which is bad for your health, bad for your longevity, also bad for your anti-aging if you care about that. There's a reason I look a lot younger than I am, because I'm constantly surrounded by perfect air. I have the Allen Breathe Smart blow on me all night as I'm breathing, so I'm breathing perfect air all night, all day. Okay? This is why I pay attention to air quality. If you guys watch Brian Johnson, he talks a lot about this, and he's right. Now, I'm not a maniac about this. I still go outside. I go outside all the time. But I want to demonstrate. Look at this image here. And if you're listening, basically, starting with Colombia going up, it is covered in green, yellow, orange, or red, which means high CO2 content. The vast majority of the population of the planet Earth lives above the equator. So that's where you have all the shitty air. Okay. Now, where is Paraguay on this map? It's right here, right where the mouse arrow is pointing, way below the zone of perfect CO2. So the air quality here, I'm looking right now. The AQI index, I'm looking outside right now. Okay. It is 2 p.m. on a holiday. Today is their 4th of July. Today is their Independence Day. So there's, fireworks and shit, even all that. The AQI index is 22. Below 50 is good. It's 22. It's 22 outside. And that's typical here. And the only reason it's not below 10 is because I'm in the city. I live in Asuncion. If I went out just a little out of the city, it'd be below 10. It'd be like 8, 9, 7. Inside my office, air quality, the AQI index is 0. Even in Dubai, it's never 0 inside, even with the things going all day. It's low. It's like, below 20, which is fine. It's fucking 0. Air quality here is amazing. The only time air quality here has been bad was last year. They had a bunch of forest fires in Brazil, and the winds blew them down to Paraguay, so there was a haze. But that's a forest fire. That's a unique exception to the rule. Air quality is amazing here because there's no industry here, very little. They don't manufacture anything. There's no industry. There's traffic and cars. That's why it's not 0. That's why I still have an air purifier here. Air quality is amazing. Now, what will happen sometimes with the AQI index is sometimes I'll watch this. I don't sit and watch it. I work, but I look. It'll like pop up to 50. Now, 50 is still okay. Above 50 is not ideal, but it's okay. It'll pop like 55. It'll be like 55 for like an hour, and it'll drop right back down to like 30. It's almost always under 30. Awesome. Even in Dubai, sometimes it'll pop up to 55 in Dubai, and it'll just stay at 55 all day. Now, 55 is okay. It's fine. Above 100 is not good. And right now, the air quality in Dubai is very bad because it's the hot season. And to be fair, to be objective, I am quite sure, I've never been here during this time, but I would bet money that in Paraguay, starting in November, then December, January, February, it's really hot here, the air quality is going to get worse. So the air quality, the hotter it gets, the worse your air quality becomes. That's just the way it works. So I'm not saying this air quality is like this year round, but damn near, it's awesome. So there you go. Hang on a second. Let me check something here. All right, next one. Excuse me. Women. I'm not going to talk a lot about this. So I don't discuss this topic on this channel. Very good dating environment here. Not a good online dating environment because Asuncion is such a small city. So online dating doesn't really work here. But if you're cool doing day game, night game, social circle game, especially if you speak Spanish, even broken Spanish, the women here are very nice. They're very pleasant. They're very cute. They are not hot. So I get questions, are there a lot of hot girls in Paraguay? There's no hot girls in Paraguay, but there's mountains of cute girls. Cute. Because I talk about on my other channel, women are ugly, average, cute, hot. 4 levels. 1 to 10 doesn't mean anything unless it's to yourself. So are there hot girls in Paraguay? Not really. That is changing. They're getting hotter, but but there's cute girls everywhere. They're everywhere. And you don't have overweight people here. It's not a thing here. You have them, but they're very rare. Like in the United States, it's the norm. And even Europe's going to the norm now too. The women here are smaller. Half the people here, and those of you who live in Paraguay understand how this works, half the people here are white, like me, and the other half look like they have that Mexican look. But even the white people have kind of the Hispanic features, but they have white skin. So if you don't, so some girls are, I don't like white girls. There are white girls here. Lots and lots. Half of them are white. Half of them are not. Okay. I could talk more about that, but I won't. I could talk about that on the channel if you want. Let's see. That's my list. What else is, let's see. What else is something I want to talk about for Billy's not on. Billy may have had a problem in her schedule. I think that's all for the big positives. Oh, the food. Hang on. They don't use all the disgusting, gross chemicals that they use in the fucking Western food, especially American food. So when you eat steak here, when you eat meat, you have an orgasm. It's amazing. The food here is so goddamn good. I mean, things like the cheese, the meat, the real food here, the vegetables. I have a chef who brings me food once a week, and it's chicken, pollo, and it's, what's the Spanish word? Cebolla, onion, and peppers. How do you say bell pepper in Spanish? I don't know that one. Awesome. You go to like even like cheap like hamburger places. Oh, the hamburgers here are great. Similar to Armenia, Armenia has fantastic hamburgers, cheeseburgers. Same thing in Paraguay. Holy shit, they have empanadas here. They've got steak. They have, it's all good. God damn. If you like steak, if you're a carnivore, you need to move to Paraguay. And it's super cheap. And they have delivery apps. There's a delivery app called Munches. There's another one called Pediditos Ya. I think I'm probably saying that wrong. So they have, delivery apps just like, they do in Dubai, United States. They're all in Spanish. So yeah, that's the tricky part. Actually, I need to add a negative. No English. Anyway, all right. Those are the big positives. There are other ones I'm not remembering, but I'm just giving you a kind of a summary. As always, I want to present a objective and rational picture of everything I discuss. So now I'm going to discuss the negatives of Paraguay. There are a few things about Paraguay that I don't like that drive me fucking crazy. Just like there are a few things about Dubai that I don't like that drive me fucking crazy. But as I said at the beginning of this podcast, every country you can possibly think to move to will have one or two or three things that will drive you fucking crazy. There's no such thing as a perfect country. There are negatives to every country you can possibly think of on the planet. So that's why it is stupid, because I've seen many of you do this in my audience. Well, I would never move there because of this one negative. Where are you going to find any country that has no negatives for you? Every country you're going to find is going to have some negatives. That's why I say at the beginning of this podcast for Unchained CEO, move to a less bad country. There are no good countries anymore. There used to be several decades. There were several. Now there are no good countries. They're all bad. So you need to pick the least bad. In my opinion, for my objectives, the United Arab Emirates / Dubai and Paraguay are two of the least bad by far on earth. Are they perfect? No. So Paraguay isn't perfect either. So I'm going to give you some negatives here, but just be aware. If you don't like these things, great. Don't move to Paraguay. Go to Dubai. But in Dubai, there'll be some negative things you won't like there. And in Philippines, there'll be negative things there. And in Colombia, there'll be negative things there. There's negative shit everywhere. You just got to just pick the least amount of negatives. Or you could sit in your collapsing Western country like this and go, I'm going to stay right here because this country has this negative and that country has this one. And I want a perfect place. I'm going to stay in my collapsing Western country, go down with the ship. Not smart. Okay. Negatives. Infrastructure. The infrastructure here sucks. It's a low-end second world country. It's a landlocked country. It is far behind even countries like Mexico. So sometimes things don't work. And when they don't work, you need to get them fixed. You got to wait several days. Now, there is one mitigating factor this I'll cover in a second. So I'll cover that in a second. It's not as bad as it sounds if you're a Westerner, because you're not a Paraguayan moving to Paraguay. You're a Westerner coming to Paraguay, which is you'll be in a different category. Anyway, you will do online banking and it just won't work. And you got to wait 3 hours and then it works again. And your shower won't work, or you have a problem in your house, or, cars. When you get into an Uber, or they have another thing here called Bolt, they have Uber here. You get into Uber and, in Dubai, when you use an Uber, every Uber is a Lexus or a Tesla. So it's perfect. Paraguay, you get into an Uber and it's a little piece of shit Honda that's like 15 years old. And it's a stick shift. They're like, doing the stick and they're back to the seat going, oh. And the streets, like the street right outside, I'm in one of the nice neighborhoods in the entire country. Literally, the streets are cobblestone from like the 1800s. So cars have to drive really slow and you're bouncing around the back seat like this. And then the guy jerks the fucking stick shift, and then he stalls out and has to start the car again, and you're on a hill. If that stuff bothers you, don't live in Paraguay. Go to Dubai. Doesn't bother me. I accept it as part of the culture. Just the shitty infrastructure. Now, two things about this, two positives. Number one, I talk about this all the time. Paraguay improves every year. The infrastructure improves every year. Every year I come here, there's new buildings, new paved roads, new bridges, new infrastructure, new internet, faster internet. Everything gets better every year. See, as I've said 10,000 times, my two countries, Dubai and Paraguay, get better every year. Your fucking country, United States, Canada, Europe, Australia, gets worse every year. Who wins? Me. So, and I'm telling you, in 2018, it was much worse. And now it's way better. And that was only 7 years later. Another 7 years will be even better. Paraguay is a growth economy. It's a growth country. It's going places. It's great for a number of reasons. Number one. Number two, you are not a Paraguayan moving to Paraguay. You are not a Paraguayan who makes an average of $350 a month, which is what the average Paraguayan income is here when you have a job. A lot of unemployment here too. But it gets better every year. Is that you? No, do you make $400 a month? No, you make a lot more than that, don't you? All right. So when you come here, you will live in one of the fanciest neighborhoods. Iquasati, Villa Mora, Recoleta. There's a bunch of them. That's where I live. I live in that kind of in that zone. You live in that zone where you have like Carmelita, Las Lomas. I could go into details, doesn't really matter. But if you move to a lower end country like Paraguay, you're going to live in the nicest nicest neighborhoods in that entire country. You're not going to live in a restaurant. That'd be fun though. Which means the infrastructure is way better. The mall that is 6 blocks from my apartment is like any American mall, like any mall you'd find in America. So you can't tell the difference. It's perfect. And things like there's a little bit of a caste system like there is here, like there's in most of South America. Not as bad as Brazil. But the fact that I live here in a nice, expensive area, if my water filtration system is broken, which it has, or my AC has a problem, or my bathroom has a problem, and if you know who to call, I have an assistant and assistants who help me, and you have someone call them and scream at them in Spanish, you won't have to wait 5, 6, 7 days to get it repaired like normal Paraguayans. They'll be out here the next day or two. It won't be like Dubai, where they're out here in 10 seconds. But so you will not be as affected by the negatives of the infrastructure here as a white Westerner, or I shouldn't say white, you can be any race, a Westerner with location-dependent income than you will the Paraguayans here. But that being said, the infrastructure here does suck. It's much lower end than even places like Mexico. And if that really bothers you, then don't move to Paraguay, go to Dubai, where the infrastructure is the best on earth. Corollary to that is trash. So there are places as you go around Asuncion, around the area, the popular areas, you'll see trash. It's not fun to see, not good. It improves every year. There was a lot more trash here 7 years ago than there is now. Back in the mid 2000 teens and early 2000 teens, people would literally just dump trash on the street. That was a normal thing here in Paraguay before I started visiting. I talked to people here. Like, yeah, one of the negatives is people just dump trash on the street. By 2018, they stopped doing that. Now they have these little metal cages. And so, it improves every year. But to be fair, you drive around and, when Billy and I took some of our clients out on a little river cruise, they have a big river here. You go up the river and you see these amazing new developments, these high-tech condos and things that look like anything you'd see in the United States. Then you go another 20 minutes down the other side of the river and you see this big mountain of garbage just on the river. That's stuff you see occasionally. Be aware of it. It's a negative, but it is getting better. Now, to give it context, if I go to somewhere like when I went to Pakistan, there's trash everywhere. So there are countries where there's trash everywhere. And you go to Pakistan, there's trash everywhere. In the big cities, out in the country, there's just trash everywhere. Whereas in Asuncion, Paraguay, it's in little clumps. You don't see trash everywhere. I'm looking out right now, I don't see any trash. I walk around here, I don't see any trash. But if I get into an Uber and drive, I'm going to see spots of trash. So it's isolated little chunks, but you'll see that. Also, another corollary, again, if you drive around and look around, it's not all over the place, but it's here, you will see real poverty. Now, if you're an American, Canadian, Western European, Australia, you don't know what real poverty is. You've never seen it. You've never been outside the United States. You've never seen real poverty. Real poverty. I've been all over the world. I've seen real poverty. You'll see some of that here. Again, it's in clumps, but you will see it. And again, there's a lot less of it now than there was when I first came here. When I first came here in 2018, I saw a lot of poverty. Ugh, it was bad. It made me feel terrible. People living in dirt, and you still see a little bit of that, but it's not a normal, common thing. But it is here. So just be aware of it. This is a negative, but it is also a positive. And I've discussed this in detail before. Paraguay is hard to get to. I am lucky living in Dubai because Dubai is the easiest to get to city on earth, literally. There's I think the number is, they're up to 340 direct flights to direct cities from Dubai. Amazing. It's a travel hub. Paraguay is the opposite. You want to get to Asuncion from the United States, you're going to be on several different flights. So when I come from the US to Paraguay, I got to take one flight to Houston, Texas. I got to take a flight from Houston to Panama City. I got to lay over there. Sometimes it's all day. Sometimes I got to spend the fucking night. Then I have another flight from Panama City to Asuncion. Even coming from Dubai, it's a little easier. I go from Dubai to Sao Paulo, Brazil. Then I have a layover, but the layover is often 15 hours, which means I have to sleep there. So this is my regular routine. I got to fly to I just did this 2 weeks ago. Flew to Sao Paulo. There's a hotel in the airport, in the terminal. I go to the hotel in there. I sleep for 6, 7, 8 hours. I wake up, have breakfast or not if I'm not fasting, and then I go on the plane and I come. It's an hour and a half flight to Asuncion. Be nice just go from Paraguay to Asuncion, but you can't do that from any major city. So that A is a hassle, but B, it's his strength if you're using Dubai like I am as a backup flag. It is not just a living flag for me, it is also a backup flag. If something horrible happens to the world, which is happening right now, Paraguay will be protected. AI, collapse the West, Paraguay is going to be fine, but both these things, perfectly fine. That's why I'm here. So I kind of like that it's hard to get to because I don't want a lot of people coming here. I am ambivalent about sharing things about Paraguay to my audience like this. Trust me, there's ambivalence here. I want some of you to come down, but I don't want the whole world coming down here. And thankfully they won't because it's gross. And I got to go on 6 flights to go there. Good. Stay away. So it is a negative, but it is also a positive if you use Paraguay as a backup flag. Or not a backup. If you want to live here and just know that you're set for life down here, you don't have to worry about AI taking over the country because it ain't going to happen. You don't have to worry about the collapse of the West. I've said this many times. I'll say it again. If the United States fully collapsed tomorrow morning, people in Paraguay would not even notice the difference. They would see it on the news and talk about it, and they go right about their lives because it's not a trading partner. It'd be fine. Paraguay would not even, and it's a low-end country. Paraguay would be fine. UK be fucked. Canada's fucked. Even Dubai would have problems. Dubai would be okay, but it'd have problems. Paraguay would be fine. So it's safe. But that means you have to deal with the negatives of travel to and from here. Okay. This is a minor, in my opinion, it is a minor negative, but for a lot of you, this is going to be a serious negative. Matter of fact, this will be a deal breaker for a lot of you. Hang on one second here. Sorry. People here don't speak English. And I know when I talk to a lot of you, your big priority is a place where they speak English. That's not Paraguay, I'm sorry. Do some people speak English here? Yes. My PDM down here speaks English. I got very lucky, but I got lucky with that. I got very lucky with her. I would say 1 in 10 people speak English. The rest do not speak English. So this isn't like Mexico or even like places like Medellin or Eastern Europe where they speak their own language, but they speak a lot of English. They don't. People do not speak English here. So that means a few things. 1, now do you need to learn Spanish? No. Do I know Spanish? No. I am perfectly functional here. But I'm something many of you are not, called hyper flexible. I don't get flustered if I can't communicate with someone. A lot of you fuckers who are outcome dependent do. So I just pull out my phone and I go to Google Translate and I talk and I figure it out. It's not a big deal. And I learn basic words. I've always known basic words in Spanish. Now I'm officially learning Spanish. I want to speak bad Spanish by the time I leave Paraguay in a few end of September. There's a thing called a CIF score of how well you speak a foreign language. It's like from 1 to 200. And if you get to 80, you can carry on simple conversation. I want to get to at least 80 before I leave. I think my current score is 15, so I got a ways to go. But anyway, so that, or you learn Spanish, or you learn Spanish words, or you surround yourself, or this is what a lot of people do, you surround yourself with Westerners who moved here. So a lot of people in my little network here, and certainly in Billy's network, are Westerners, Europeans, Canadians, Americans, who have moved here and hang out with those people because they obviously speak English. So you're going to have to either learn Spanish or be flexible. If you're like, oh, if you're making all, I know a lot of you guys are like this. You get all pissed off and flustered if you can't communicate with people. Don't come to Paraguay. Move to Dubai. Everyone speaks English there. But just be aware, this is not an English-speaking country like you would expect of other Latin American countries. Even Buenos Aires, there are plenty of people who speak English there, right? Mexico, certainly, but Paraguay, no. And again, I want to be clear. There are some people who speak English here. They exist. It's just, including with dating, the vast majority of the women you meet here are not going to speak English. There'll be Espanol, which means you're going to be Google translating, or you need to learn some Spanish. Way it goes. So just be aware of that. Let's see. Okay, final negative. This one's going to sound funny, but this negative is my biggest negative, my pet peeve. This is my big pet peeve about Paraguay. You may not care about this, but I do. It's going to sound kind of funny. Dogs. What? Yeah. So I love dogs. I love cats. If I didn't travel as much as I would own a dog and I would own a cat. I love dogs and cats. Both are God's gift to humanity. It's like they come from heaven. Dogs are amazing. Cats are amazing. I love both. And I've owned a dog and I've owned a cat. Love dogs, love cats. This has nothing to do with dogs. This has to do with how dogs are treated in the Latin world. Those of you who have spent time in Latin America, you already know what I'm about to say, or have an inkling about what I'm about to say. If you go to somewhere like Mexico, for example, okay? And the first time you go to Mexico, you've never been in Mexico in your life, the first thing you're going to notice when you drive around is dogs are just walking around. So in Western cultures, people have leashes, and if the dog is off the leash, they're in the yard or in the house. In the Latin world, no. They don't do that. Different culture. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. And if you ask Latin people, they can't explain it because they just take it for granted. Dogs just fucking wander all over the place. So you'll notice that as soon as you come to the Latin world, you'll see dogs just wandering around and people have to slam on their brakes because dogs just walk across the street and they're very nonchalant and people just let their dogs run around. And they're stray dogs too. Now, Paraguay does one level different, which is almost worse. What they do in Paraguay, I don't know why they do this. It's part of the culture. And they can't, I've asked them about this. They can't explain it because to them, it's just like, it's like a fish asking the fish, how's the water? And they say, what water? It's like that. Billy, give me the thumbs up if you're ready. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
I'm talking about, I'm finishing up I gave the positives and the negatives. I'm finishing up the negatives and I'll turn it to you. You give me your positives and negatives. I'm talking about dogs. You just started when this is my last negative of Paraguay is how they treat their dogs here. So anyway, what I was saying was, Mexico and Latin American countries, they let them wander around and walk around with no leash and what the fuck. And you know, okay, now in Paraguay, what they do is, for some reason, it's part of their culture, families, especially in the wealthier areas, which is where you'll spend most of your time if you're a Westerner, like I talked about earlier, everyone has a house and all the houses have fenced yards or walls. And damn near every house, I'm exaggerating, has 1 or 2 or 3 dogs, which is great. I wish I could have a dog. And what they do is it's about 6:30 in the morning. They let all their dogs out and they just sit them in the yard until midnight. All day, all night. They never let them back in. They ignore their dogs. And when you walk 6-7 blocks, you'll see this over and over again. And so these poor dogs are lonely and want attention. So the only thing they can do is they sit in front of the gate against the sidewalk. And every time someone walks by or there's a little sound, they go, ruh, 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 and they bark and they bark and they bark and they bark. And then the other dog barks. And then 2 dogs houses down, they start barking. And then those dogs start barking. And then you hear all these fucking dogs barking. This is from 6:30 a.m. to 7 in the morning till the late evening, 11:30, midnight. And then what these families do, I don't understand why. If I owned a dog, I had a dog, I would want them in the house with me. But they don't do that. Then at midnight, late at night, they finally bring their dogs in. I guess they sleep with them. And then at 6:30 in the morning, they kick them back out again. And numerous people do this. So what will happen is, this will happen to me in this apartment, but other apartments too. First time I came to this apartment, I went to bed, and 6:30 in the morning, I hear dogs just like all over the place. Like, what the fuck? And I literally, I got up. I was so angry. And it was the night before too. I got up, threw on my pajamas, half asleep, my hair all frizzy. I went down to the first floor of the building, walked out, and the dogs are just barking like maniacs right across the street, looking over, and I look at the security guard. I'm like, And he kind of just looks at me. Again, this is just part of their culture, so they don't see it. So I said, does this happen every morning? And he's like, what? Does what happen? I said, the dogs. Pero. How do you say dogs? I forget what I said. Perros. Perros dogs, right?
Yeah.
Cat is, I learned
Gato.
dog and cat. Huh?
Gato.
Gato, see. I said, the dogs. He's like, what about the dogs? They're barking and barking and barking at 6 a.m. And he's like, what's the problem? So again, they're just, in America or any Western country, trust me, if dogs were barking all night, all day, early in the morning, within 10 seconds, a bunch of angry moms would call the cops and call the neighborhood association and call the Humane Society, and people would be knocking on the door and say, hey, take care of your fucking, that doesn't happen here because of just the culture. So now, fortunately for me, as I already talked on my other channel, I have an entire sleeping system. I have a very loud speaker that plays white noise. I have earplugs. So I'm okay. I can't hear the dogs. But that first night, I'm like, what the fucking hell? So even when I'm working, I'm sitting here working my desk, I will hear dogs loudly barking off and on all day and all night. And it's just something you got to get used to. So this is my temporary apartment. When I get truly settled in Paraguay, I am now, but when I get my final home here in Paraguay, I've already talked to some people. I want to go somewhere where I love dogs, but not when people abuse their dogs and ignore their dogs. I want to go to a neighborhood that doesn't have any fucking dogs, or be very high up in a high rise. That might be okay. Or be in a villa, but I'm way out in the suburbs, and I don't know. So anyway, so that's my biggest pet peeve. But like I said, these negatives are very minor compared to the positive I just gave you guys. Billy, really quick, here was the positives I gave them, and you can give me your perspective, is nice people, good weather outside of their summer, low cost, really good air quality. The women are very cute and nice. The negatives I gave were some of the infrastructure, but it gets better every year, and it's hard to fly to, and people don't speak English, and my thing is the dogs. So that was my summary statement of Paraguay. What do you think?
So I think you forgot electricity. Like, I'm a nerd, so I like clean energy. So I like being in a country that's hydropowered. I also like having low cost of living, so that adds to the low cost.
I talked about the meat too. I talked about the meat, and when we take people out, how cheap it is. It's the most amazing meat on earth, and it's super cheap. I talked about that too. Yeah.
I would say the food systems in general, they're much, much cleaner than we have in the Western world. Yes, they in some cases use pesticides and herbicides, but to a much lesser extent than anywhere else, certainly in the Western world. And you're much closer to the food, so you don't have to go through the crazy supply chain logistics, which not only keeps the cost down, but it keeps the variety up, and it lends to food security in the country. So to me, that's a really big advantage. If things go to hell, I want to know that there is a sustainable food system in place already. I don't want to have to create something like we do in the US.
That's a very good point. So I talked about earlier how Paraguay will be safe with no matter what happens. AI collapsed the West. Billy just stated another reason that I often forget about is the supply chain and the ability to get food. You're in the typical US city or Western European city, Australia, and you have a major problem with the supply chain. You're going to have trouble eating. Paraguay, you're fine because the farm is right there. And they have farmers markets all over the place. And Billy's absolutely right about it. I didn't even think about that. Good, very good point.
Yeah, that's just hugely important to me. I like security, water security as well. So one thing I think of when I'm in places like Dubai and Pakistan, they have some water, of course, but very little. And certainly by our standards, which again makes their food system insecure and makes clean, healthy drinking water much less secure than it is in a place like Paraguay, where I can take my life straw or my super awesome filtering cup thing. And I mean, I could drink out of the Ganges with the filtration I have, but simply by having those tools, I can go outside anywhere in Paraguay and find water, essentially, in most places.
Yep. They have the biggest river other than the Amazon in South America. And someone once told me they have the largest or second largest navy that is a river navy in the world, because it's a landlocked country, but they have a lot of benefits of countries that are not landlocked because this gigantic river that goes right through Paraguay. I don't know the economic details behind that, but anyway.
It's fascinating. But you touched on one thing that was a positive for you, is that the women are cute. That is a negative for me because the men are like miniature and not cute.
Yeah, I agree with you. The men are not, for those of you who are women, the men, that is a negative. The men are not good here. They're not. You're
No,
right. They're not.
but you
They're
just
not.
get a Western or Argentinian import and you're fine. They're always the
Right. Now, one thing for you men, something you will see in Paraguay a lot, and I'm seeing this more and more, but I've always seen this here, is something you generally will not see in the Western world. You'll see this at the mall. You'll see a girlfriend, boyfriend couple holding hands, and the girl will be really, really cute, and the guy will be busted. The guy will be chubby,
see that
ugly,
shit.
or
Hold on.
short.
You're a dude, so you don't see it. If you're a woman, you see that shit everywhere. Everywhere. It's just that it's slimmer. The opportunities are slimmer. They're, down there. So it's exacerbated a little bit more. But if you're
Yeah.
a woman, you see this everywhere you go, like a little potato with a really hot woman. That's not unusual
Well,
anywhere.
and to clarify, I'm not talking about a rich old man because they don't have those here. I'm talking about normal guys of the normal same age as the girl, 20s, 30s, who clearly doesn't have any money, and he is ugliest. Not like average looking, like, oh, an average guy with a hot girl. No, no, ugly guys with like cute girls. And you're like, I don't see it everywhere. I see it occasionally, but in Paraguay, I see it a lot.
I see it a lot, but you definitely
Yeah.
see it more there.
Yeah.
It is very interesting. So yeah, if you're a woman or you date men, like no, just no, and no.
No, you're right. If you're a girl, I'm sorry. Billy's right. Now, the good news, if you're a girl, is there are lots of countries around Paraguay where the men are pretty good. Brazil's pretty good. Argentina's pretty good. So, and I don't know about Chile. I don't know about Chilean men. I wouldn't know, but
I'm not into
no.
that.
Okay. I know Argentinian are good, and I know a lot of Brazilian can be good for men, guys. But yeah.
But
Also,
and we joke.
Did you see this? You didn't see this, Billy. I showed them this. This is the CO2 map of the world for air quality. And Paraguay is right there, baby. Look at that. Paraguay's right there.
Yep. We love our beautiful, clean Paraguay.
Awesome.
So other positives, one of the negatives that you mentioned, that it's difficult to reach Paraguay, depends on where you are. So for me, living near Canada, yes, it's difficult. It takes a minimum of 3 flights, and I usually drive down to Chicago and then fly.
I talked about that.
Yeah. However, the one thing that we often overlook is if you're European, it's freaking easy. It is literally a direct flight to Sao Paulo, Brazil from Spain or Portugal. And that's it. And then you take
Portugal too?
Have it, yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I just looked a couple days ago.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. I didn't know that. All right,
there
cool.
aren't very many, but they do exist. But you can get a direct flight from Spain any day of the week and then take a 2-hour flight from Sao Paulo down, or Rio de Janeiro.
Great point. So for you Europeans, it's but see, if you don't live in Spain or Portugal, you're in for 2 flights, which is not horrible, but very good point. Yeah.
But we're talking about like 12 hours of travel.
Right.
It's
more.
Right. But it's pretty easy to achieve. It's not like you have to stop in Mexico and stop again in Panama, and you're not hop frogging around.
Right. It's not like going from the U.S. I told them about from the U.S. because you got to go to Houston, Panama City, then Asuncion, and with long layovers in between. Yeah.
So I do it differently than you. I do Chicago to Miami, Miami to Lima. I usually have a 2-hour connection. And
that's
then
more
I go
flights.
down.
Why do you do that? Why do you do that? That's more flights.
That's the only right. That's the route that there is. It's the best route.
You can can't you go to Houston? Can you fly to Houston from where you are?
I sort of.
Or Dallas?
There aren't very many flights.
Florida.
There aren't very many flights. There are so many more flights from Florida. So I don't have long layovers. I have usually a 90-minute or 4-hour layover, and that's it. No matter where I go.
See, because when I'm in Phoenix with Pink Firefly, or if I'm in Portland with family, then you always have me go down. Billy handles all this for me because she's awesome. So I usually have to go to Houston or Dallas, then PTY, then. So yeah, if you can't go to Texas, you'd have to go to. So you go to Miami, then Lima, and then what's the flight between Lima and Asuncion? It's like 6 hours or like 5?
4.
4. Okay, that's not bad. You're cutting up the long flights too, which is kind of good. If you go stir crazy on planes, because some people, just for the rest of you, some people, my mom is like this. Some people can't handle long flights. They go crazy. I can do it. I don't like it, but I can do it. Some people just, so they purposely will break up the flights because they want to. So you have that option too. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not as bad as it could be, especially since I've been to like Pakistan recently. Right?
Yeah.
It was not a lot different than going there. It's not a lot different than going to Europe. There's just one more stop.
Yeah. Okay.
At the end of the day, it's not that big a deal. It's
Okay.
it's much harder to go to Australia. Right?
Yes. Can you talk about one of the positives I talked about was the people? Was the first thing I talked about. You're more in tune with the people here than I am because you're a better networker than I am. Can you talk about, and I did mention how there's a lot of expats down here, and one of the offsets of no one speaking English, you could plug into an expat community because there's so many here. We're part of many. But can you talk about your experiences with the Paraguayan locals here, both the ones who speak English and don't? Because I have a lot of experience. I think you may have more, even though you've been coming to Paraguay less often than me because you're more tied into those things.
Yeah. So I don't speak Spanish. I've been studying via Duolingo sort of halfway, but I don't enjoy that learning style very much. So the first thing I learned to say is, I'm sorry, I'm a stupid American. And guess what? That works.
Estúpido americano. Americano estúpido.
I said, lo siento, americano estúpido. And because I'm an auntie, I can pull that off so easily. And I am kind of dumb. So, I just own it. And what happens, but when you say that in a public place, like in the line at a supermarket, when you're feeling uncomfortable, you don't know what's happening, they've asked you a question, you're fumbling with your translate, you can disarm people really easy by saying, I'm so sorry, I'm a dumb American, or, I'm learning your language, but I don't understand. And because they have so little tourism, they're actually excited to help you. I've had people like at the deli step out of line when I didn't know what was being asked. And I have like 2 ladies from one group and a little old man from another group who came over to like translate for me. And then to tell me like, oh, once I visited my family in Las Vegas, right?
Right.
A lot of people I've noticed want to interact.
You get special treatment here. You really do. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Like it's not okay. So it's not like Pakistan. Like in Pakistan, I was like a freaking guy.
That's your celebrity. No, that's you're like you're like Brad Pitt in Pakistan. That's a whole different thing. That's a whole other level.
I love it there. Paraguay is a step down from that, right? You're like a Broadway star. People recognize you, or people look at you, but they're not sure. But they're interested, and that's the most important thing. It is not like going to many other countries, particularly in Europe or America, where people are complete assholes if you don't speak the language. I've never experienced that in Paraguay or Mexico for that matter.
That's what I said.
So in terms of people, I've had 2 experiences. Either they are like really warm, really hospitable, very kind, engaging. And I've met a couple of people who are like psychotic, scumbag, lying manipulators. Like the very worst, and Caleb knows exactly who I'm talking about, like just downright despicable humanity who will do anything to manipulate and get cash. You're going to have that anywhere you go. If you look different, you're an easier target for that. So just expect that there are going to be some people who try to manipulate and rip off, but it's going to happen no matter where you are. So if you identify that early and you're not naively thinking that everyone is good and wholesome, you're fine.
And I think you're more likely to encounter that if you are female. Do you agree? Because I have never had that problem here, but I'm a guy. Because there's more patriarchal culture here. And so you have there's a machismo here that you don't have in the West. And so I mentioned this earlier in the thing when you weren't here is I've never seen people argue and scream at each other in public here, but I do know about men beating up their wives behind closed doors here, or slapping their kids around.
Like that shit's accepted there. So if you're a woman, be fierce like me, and make
you need to.
You really do. I wouldn't touch them with a 20-foot barge pole.
If you're a woman, you have to have balls here. Yeah. Matter of fact,
like the guys don't have much water. They have no money. They're tiny and they beat the shit out of women and they cheat like crazy. So just like don't touch them with a barge pole. If you're a chick, you'll be happy. If you're a dude and that works with your morals, like aces, you're in. It's gonna be easy.
There
That is
are
what I dislike the most about the country is that like just everyone has sex with everyone, everyone's cheating. Like there's a lot of that, or they're super super conservative and religious. But there are like two very distinct camps. There doesn't
I've
seem
talked
to
about
be
this.
anything in between.
You're exactly right. And men, you'll deal with that with both the men and the women here. You'll have the slutty, ho girls who just go crazy.
So
And
do
then you'll have girls who are
everyone.
like, they're still virgins and they're 25, or they've had sex with one guy and they don't know it. So there's Billy's absolutely right. It's one or the other extreme here. Whereas Brazil are all in one category. So it's like half and half. It's very interesting. I've never seen another country like this.
That's
And
why
the
I
men
like
too.
like that's why I like the Middle East a little bit more. Just in terms of like sexuality, because there isn't it doesn't work the same. It's not as
Yeah.
gross. Um,
Right.
but again, all personal preference. These are the things I don't like. I totally understand if you guys feel differently. Um, the one other thing that you always mention as a negative, and my assistant Muhammad and I were talking about this today. He is near like Lahore, Pakistan, third world country. I just got Starlink a few days ago. So I had to order it because I didn't want it for a lot of reasons, but I have
I'm
it.
glad you got it. I'm excited. You already
Um,
sent me her download speeds and stuff because I might get one. They're pretty cool. But go ahead. I'm excited about this.
so Muhammad's service in Pakistan is still significantly faster than the Starlink is here at my house in Wisconsin. Significantly. And that's
Yeah.
the one thing I think we don't talk about enough. It's like when you talk about infrastructure in Paraguay, you are largely coming from the perspectives of a larger metropolitan area, like living in cities in the US.
True.
I have spent most of my time outside of cities. I don't enjoy living in a city. So I've always lived in rural or semi rural areas. If you have a background similar to mine, the infrastructure in Paraguay is very similar to home.
Good point. Very
Sidewalks
good
might be
point.
different, but I get better internet there. Um, I've experienced less power outages in Paraguay than I have in Wisconsin in the spring.
That's probably true. I didn't mention power outages. You will experience this sometimes in Paraguay. If there's a big storm, your internet and your electric will go out for a few hours and then it'll kick back on. I've experienced that once or twice, including on a live stream with Billy once. Matter of fact, you remember like 2 years ago?
Yep.
It was in my live stream. I was in Paraguay. You weren't. There was a big storm. I left. And Billy's like,
Here we are.
Yeah, so you'll experience that. But Billy's right. If you're a rural-ish person, this is normal for you. Very good point.
If you lived in a suburb that didn't have a Starbucks, you had to drive like a mile to Starbucks, you'll understand the infrastructure.
Yeah.
Like every time he brings it up, I'm like, what the fuck is he going on about? Like, okay, it's not Dubai, but what is he going on about, man? Have you ever been to a town?
City boy.
Exactly. So just take all that with a grain of salt. Because I still live in a place in Wisconsin. Actually, this is a lie. Something just changed dramatically for me in Wisconsin. I can get Uber Eats delivered from 4 restaurants.
Wow, so exciting.
And they're all restaurants I don't want. It's like fast food
For context, to those you don't know, Billy lives out in the middle of fucking nowhere. Just see if you didn't know. She's way out in the middle of the boonies. What's the population of your nearest town?
I'm about 4 miles away from the nearest village of 600 people.
There you go.
And
how far is it to the nearest real city? Hour and a half?
No, it's about 40 minutes.
Okay, that's not horrible.
I mean, it's not city. It's like 150,000 people.
No, that's not a city. 1.1 million plus people. How far is that?
Madison, 2.5 hours.
Okay, that's out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. Anyway.
But a lot of people live that way, not only in the US, of course. And I just think that I really think it's something we don't think about. When I'm in Paraguay, I'm such a happy little geek that I get like my coffee delivered. I get smoothies and lunch like delivered because I can do that there. Of course, I travel the world and I know I can get food delivered most places when I travel. But there are a lot of us who still can't do that at home. And if that's your perspective, Paraguay is a breath of fresh air. It's a small city. It's very green. So it doesn't feel like that overwhelming, stark
right
just
The polar opposite of
plastic
Dubai.
sort of facade. Yeah. And for those of you who don't know, I hate Dubai. Like, I'll go again.
Billy
There are
hates
some
Dubai.
to do. I've been there twice. I hate it. I cannot imagine why anyone would want to live there.
I told them at the beginning of this presentation that Paraguay and Dubai are both very distinctive countries. You will love them or you will hate them. Whereas a place like Portugal, you'll go there, you won't love it, but you won't hate it. It's fine. But Paraguay and Dubai are both very distinctive. So yeah, Billy's a good example. She came to Paraguay, fell in love with it instantly, just like I did. She went to Dubai and like, oh my God, get me the fuck out of here, which is exactly what I said at the beginning of this. So yeah, it's just how this works. And some of you may come to Paraguay and hate it. And some of you may go to Paraguay and go, oh my God, I want to move here now. It's just how it works.
We've seen that.
And Dubai too.
Mm-hmm.
We've absolutely seen it. Mostly with people falling in love with it. But yes.
Mostly, yeah. And moving down like immediately or very soon thereafter.
We've had people move really quick. I've had people move quick in Dubai, but they move faster to Paraguay. They're like, oh my God. And they just move. Let's talk about our Cancun thing, really your Cancun thing.
Sure.
And then let's answer questions about Paraguay. But I'll let you start. Speaking of the Latin world, I'll let you start.
We have a pretty cool offer going on right now that combines our Cancun event, which is a 5-day, 4 nights at a 5-star hotel resort with flights, meals, coaching. Caleb will be there, myself, and a whole bunch of coaches from Boss Cooperative. I think there are 7. I'm sorry, I have a piece.
Give the dates. Give the dates of the event.
It is September 10th through the 14th in Cancun. And we do that because it's easy for everyone to fly there from anywhere in the world.
Yep.
And it's literally a week of intensive coaching, but done in a really fun way. We don't sit in a conference room. We sit in the pool. So Caleb might be teaching us about a time management principle while we're shooting bows and arrows on the archery range. While we're working on targeting our time better, for example. We might be doing breath work and mindfulness for entrepreneurs with Coach Christy in the ocean, which we did last year.
Awesome.
The whole idea is that we have 5 to 7 hours of coaching and interactive coaching, not just people talking at you, but where you're actually moving, you're engaging with people, and the idea is that you're able to tie the lessons into those physical memories. So I think it's a much easier way for people like myself to learn. If you have ADHD or ever wondered if you had, because sitting through a lecture is hard, this is the event for you. This is a much better way of learning. And we're also going to do some really badass things. Something I've been waiting to do with you, Caleb, for 3 years. And that is go to the coolest adventure park I've ever been to. It's called Explore Fuego. And you get to go swimming in caves, through rivers in a cave, or go on a little raft, zip lining, ATVing, or UTVing, I guess it is, at night through the jungle and through the caves. It's super cool. But again, it's to tie all of those ideas in because it takes a degree of fearlessness and a new mindset to be able to do scary things like swim in a cave if you're claustrophobic, or to zip line if you're afraid of heights. But the whole idea of the event is to curate a space where all of us are making growth and having a lot of fun. I finally talked Caleb into coming.
And it's a flat fee that covers your flight and your food and your lodging and the event, which is unlike any event like this and unlike any events I've done. So you pay a flat fee and Billy pays for everything, including your flight, your hotel, all the food. It's an all-inclusive resort, right? Or is it? It is.
Yes, it's all inclusive.
Yeah, you get all day. Drink. Is it unlimited alcohol?
Yes, it is.
Unlimited alcohol, those you drink, which is almost all of you except me. So great. So it's a flat thing for everybody, so you have to work, and it's tax deductible because it's business. But please check with your accountant.
Here's where it gets better, Caleb. We haven't really talked a lot about this yet. We've never told your people about this. If you come on the Entrepreneurs Retreat and decide ahead of time that you want residency in Mexico, we'll bundle it for you. You could save about $4,000. And check with your tax accountant, check with your tax professional. But what we do is we bill it as a single line item business event.
Awesome. So you can make your residency tax deductible. Yeah. That'll work. Check with your accountant, but that will work. Yeah.
Exactly.
And so wait, do they have to then go to Merida or can they stay in Cancun?
They're staying in Cancun for everything. Our legal teams that we've used the last 2 years are in Cancun. We also have legal teams in Merida. If people want to go there, they can. But if they want to do it with a group, if they want to double down, make it tax deductible, check with your accountant. This is the time to do it. It is a huge savings. Like I said, save $4,000 just on the cost of residency by bundling those two things with us. And you'll stay in Mexico for another week beyond the event, beyond the actual retreat. But we paid for your hotel. You'll be staying at the same resort if you want to. Or
cool.
You can spend traveling around Mexico on your own. It's up to you how you'd like to spend week number 2. And the only reason we have week number 2 is just in case an office is closed.
You have to. For Mexico, you have to buffer it. Yes, in case there's a problem. And now Mexican residency is the cheapest and easiest residency of the 4 or 5 residencies we talk about, especially if you're American, Canadian, European. And unlike all the other residencies that I talk about, Paraguay, Armenia, Dubai, Mexico offers you 2 things that you don't get any other residency. One, you get not immediately. It takes 2 or 3 years. You have to wait 2 or 3 years when you get your residency. You get true permanent residency, which means once you get your temporary residency, you wait, I think, 2 years. You go reapply and you get your permanent residency. It's the rest of your life. You never need to renew it ever again. You never need to go back to Mexico ever again. Virtually no other country on earth does that. Permanent usually means, okay, you got to renew in 5 years or 10 or 8. Like in Paraguay, I think it's 9. So I have permanent residency up here in Paraguay, but I got to renew it in 7 or 8 years or something. Mexico is permanent. So that's number 1. Number 2 is once you have permanent, if you decide to live in Mexico, and I keep thinking about doing this myself, I don't know, but 6 months a year, 3 years in a row, you get a passport.
Yep.
And Mexico is, which Americans don't understand, Mexico is a kick-ass passport. It's one of the best passports in the world. It's not the best, but it's up there. It's a tier A passport. Mexico is awesome as a passport for travel and visa-free travel. Americans think Mexico, it's shitty. No, the world likes Mexico. Mexico is very well respected around the world outside of America because of the immigration stuff. So you don't get that with any other residency, and it's the cheapest and it's the easiest. You do have to make one visit to your. Explain that. You have to make one visit to the embassy before you leave. That's
right. So you do need to apply in your home country by going to the Mexican embassy or consulate and applying for a residency visa. You will facilitate all that if they do the whole service. So Billy's team does all that for you. You have to do a few things yourself, but yes. But we do it for you. Essentially, you need to gather your birth certificate, and then financial documents, because they do have a minimum income threshold, which is around $4,300 US per month. And that varies by a few $100s based on the consul that you go to. So there are some other workarounds. If you have savings, that amount is just about $80,000 US, and it has to have been in an account or an investment portfolio for at least 12 months without having been removed or going below that threshold. The other way is by buying property. So there are a lot of different ways. But what we have found is I have had 2 people for the first time ever rejected for a residency visa by the Mexican consul. One was in Boston. The other was in Denver, when they literally said, we're not a plan B. You don't need residency. Now, this has only been 2 instances, and we've had plenty of people for whom it's worked out. And in the Denver case, we're still working on that. But it is happening. Things are changing. Donald Trump has pissed off a lot of people.
Yep. Donald Trump has made this worse. Correct.
Donald Trump is making the world much harder for immigration, period. Even Argentina has recently jumped on the bandwagon, saying we're going to cut down immigration dramatically as possible. They just announced that in the last 24 hours. Brazil, in the last couple of months, has instituted a visa policy, and it's not easy. You have to submit financial documents to visit Brazil.
What do I keep saying to you guys? I've been screaming this at you guys for 6 years now. Five Flags gets harder every year. You can't fucking wait anymore. You've got to do this now. You won't be able to get these residencies a year from now, 2 years from now. You won't be able to get them. We can't even offer them because they won't be available unless you're rich or something. You've got to do this now. You got to stop making excuses because this gets harder every year. I started this process researching it in 2012, hardcore in 2017. This is way harder, Paraguay included. All these countries are way harder now than they were in 2007, 2008. It was a breeze back then. When Andrew Henderson, Nomad Capitalist did this in 2010, it was super fucking easy. It's a nightmare now. It gets worse every year. You've got to do this now. I don't know how many times I got to say it. Yes.
That's why we're making it affordable. That's why it was important to me to bundle it. I'm going to be there. My legal team is there. We have the resources in place. I know that people need to go and do this. I know that people need to do this. I've seen firsthand the frustration and disappointment of working with a client where the consulate is saying, hey, you're 2 years from retirement. Your family member is already retired and living in this country. But yeah, we're not going to give you a residency visa because we don't think you need it.
There's a question in the chat about, is there ways they can avoid getting rejection? Are there things they can do or not?
Sort of. So spend time there. Instead of going for a 2-week trip, stay 3, 4, 5, 6 longer weeks. Plan on
which is awesome. Cancun's awesome. My son lives there. It's a good place to live. I would live there.
Visit the country. Don't just go to the tourist areas, right? Drive a couple hours inland and go see Merida. Drive up to Progreso Beach. It's also touristy, but it demonstrates that you're interested in Mexican culture. Learn to speak Spanish, or at least at least start learning on Duolingo or one of the various apps, so that you can demonstrate that you have an interest in learning the language and the culture. Demonstrate that you're actually interested, and give them a good reason, right? It's not, I just need another place to go, or I just want to hang out in Mexico. Let them know how you plan on investing your future or money or resources in Mexico. I plan on living here part of the year, which means I'll have to hire some local staff to do my laundry and clean my house, right? Whatever it is. Demonstrate because it is an investment in their local economy.
Right.
And that's what
I'm looking at the same thing for getting citizenship in Paraguay. Very similar. They want to see that you're spending time here, you're building a life here, you're spending money here. Ideally, you're hiring people here if you're a Westerner. They want to see you're opening bank accounts. You know, you have a gym membership. You're a real person. You're not just using this as a backup flag, which some of you are using it for, but that's okay. Don't just pretend. Billy, what is the website for the event and the service?
It is bosscooperative.com/events. Caleb, can you chuck that in the note in the chat?
Sure.
I know we have the boss event, the events.live, but I'm not sure what the link is exactly off the top of my head.
That's fine. I've got it. bosscooperative.com/events. And both events are there, right? All the events are there. Yeah, I see it right here. All the
events are there. So for those of you who don't know, Caleb and I worked together cooperatively on his residency events for the last 7 years. And the last couple of years, I took it over. So we are still offering Mexico residency. We're doing a group trip. That is the one that's September 10th through the 24th. After that, I'm going to Paraguay in October. And then we're
So Paraguay residency is October 13th to the 24th. So really quick, let's do dates. So the Cancun retreat Billy and I are doing is in Cancun, where it's an all-inclusive. You pay one flat fee. It's plane and hotel and everything. That's September 10 through the 14th. Then if you do the Get Residency, which you bundle it, you stay another week till the 10 days to the 24th, right, Billy? I'm reading right off the page, correct? Okay.
Yes.
Then the Get Residency event for Billy is October 13th to the 24th here in Paraguay in October.
Here in Paraguay, yes.
Yeah.
And then
there's
also
a Vegas
one together for Dubai. And it looks like that's going to be either the end of January or the beginning of February next year. So we will.
And I'll do that. If you guys come to that, I'll do that. I'll be there too, because I'll be a part of that.
Oh, fun. And we'll do things like go to the Global Village and to the gold souks and things. I haven't, it's funny because both times I've been in Dubai, you haven't been.
I know. Well, you're talking January or February next year, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, I'm going to be there.
February 2027 or 2026 rather. And
Yeah.
we're also putting together another retreat, which will be in Morocco for next year, which is another business deductible, tax deductible learning event. But all of these events are there. We also offer South Dakota residency. We also have some masterminds
Americans.
in different places in the country, like Atlanta, Vegas. We have one, Mexico. There's a mastermind, which is an intensive day with myself and or the other coaches. We have tons of events, and the residencies are there. But the thing to know is that if you want residency in Mexico or Paraguay this year, you have about 1.5 months to decide and to start getting your paperwork and your visa together.
Please don't wait, you guys. Please don't wait. Because, you know, what's going to happen, I've already done this. This has already happened several times to start doing YouTube videos in 2019 or whatever. What's going to happen is you'll see a live stream or a video from me or me and Billy, and we're going to say, sorry, you can't get Paraguay residency anymore. You can't, they don't offer it anymore. You got to be a millionaire. Or sorry, you can't get Mexican residency unless you make $500,000 a year. That's going to happen. Or sorry, you can't go to Dubai. Dubai is, you can come to Dubai now, but now it's $25,000 to get residency there. Or Armenia, you can't, I'm telling you guys, you can't wait for this stuff. Get this done. Yeah, I can't scream about that.
It is. It really gets harder, guys. Another example of getting harder is last year, when you got your Paraguay residency, you could get your cedula at the same time.
All right. Now you can't.
Now.
You're wait 9 months, right? Is it 9 months? 9
9
fucking months.
12 months, yeah. And we never.
I'm telling you, this shit gets harder.
And while we were there a year ago, they changed the documentation that they would accept from us. Specifically,
2 years ago.
Yep, that was 2 years ago. And then the next year it was a different change. So it's always a change, and it's always something fundamental. And in fact, we had some very pissed off, and understandably so, clients who arrived in Paraguay, and we woke up in the morning to the news that the administration that very morning had changed the laws.
That happened 2 years ago. That literally happened with 2 people. We had a group down and 2. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
and
we had a group of 10 guys.
Get
on this. Burned, and there was nothing we could do. There was nothing that they could do. There's nothing that our legal teams could do, despite every best intention that we have.
So be flexible and don't wait. You can still get these residencies. You can still get them. Worst case scenario, you have to make another trip, but you should do that anyway, in my opinion, especially if you want to live here or live here half the year or use this as a real flag, Paraguay, Mexico, whatever. I mean, you should, anyway. Don't fucking wait. Stop waiting. You guys are still waiting. Well, I don't know if it.
That's why we're trying so hard to take those excuses away. Go to cooperative.com's event page. Find those events that are right for you. And if you're thinking about Mexico, today's the day to decide. I'm not, no joking, no hyperbole. I can save you $4,000. You will have the time of your life learning from Caleb, myself, and the other coaches, and you will get your Mexican residency.
How many coaches are at the event? How many coaches come to the event? 6?
We have 7 committed right now. We might do 2 more depending on the number of participants.
Okay. I know one who might be coming, but we'll talk about it later. Cool. Okay. Questions. I don't know if I can do all the questions, but I'll do my best here. What's the difference between your location-independent business, Alpha 2.0 business course, the 90 Business Builder? Is that because there's not, you can't even compare the two. The Alpha 2.0 business course is just videos. That's it. No one helps you. They're not part of a community. There's no live. There's nothing live. It's all on your own. That's the difference. That's why it's so much cheaper.
It's only Caleb. Like, he's awesome, but fuck, he doesn't know everything.
Yeah, I do.
And in the other programs, you have me. I'm wonderful and smarter than Caleb sometimes, dumber other times, and a lot of other coaches with amazing skills. So you're surrounded with a bit more, well, quite a bit more support in the other one. Depends on whether you like to do it completely solo, like a lone wolf, or whether you understand the value of community.
Some of you are asking about women. I'm not going to talk about women here. After how many calls to a niche that do not give you any problem, should you give up and change the niche? 5, 6, 7 human beings, not calls, conversations. 5, 6, 7. It depends.
It depends on how you're asking questions, because most of the time, if you're getting, I don't have any problems, there are no problems, you're asking wrong. because you're probably asking them, what are the problems in your business? What are the challenges in your industry? And what that does is it makes people feel defensive, and they're not going to give you a good answer. So first, before you even think about what the number of dials is, I would jump on a session, join a program, learn how to dial that in a little bit better, because I'm guessing that the questions are the problem.
I'm sorry, this is not a question, but I never thank you for the immense help you've given me in my life. You're very welcome. Glad I could help.
Aw, good job, Caleb. You are a good guy.
Been studying your videos. I'm in year 8 in Medellin. American family has a big software company here. I'm getting my permanent residency that I'm coming to Paraguay to hang with you. Cool. Been studying your videos so I can work on my consulting project. That sounds great, dude. Love it. Love it. Caleb, you don't seem like a disc golfer? No. But I'm putting a few courses.
He's not an outdoor boy. He's an indoor boy.
I'm too busy working on my funnels. It's very exciting. You mentioned before you were on Chris Williamson's podcast long ago. Yes. His podcast only a few years ago. How do you know we can watch? If you go to Chris Williams' podcast and search on my name, you'll find it. It's back before he was famous. And he had that long, floofy hair. We both look very different. Do you think this is a clearly defined niche? You don't specify what it is. Let's see. Caleb, I'm a copywriter with experience for writing for big. You're a copywriter. You're in big trouble. Sorry. Writing for big brands. You mentioned copywriting is no longer viable. Yes, because of AI. What's a valid alternative? Marketing services, high touch, customized human marketing services, consulting, things like that. That's still okay. That's fine. Niched, very niched, not how to market anything. Niched.
Yep. And here's the example, guys. One of the coaches on my team is an animator. He's worked on things like Marvel, some major video games that you guys have all heard of. And they got the letter a few months ago saying, we're switching everything to AI, guys. Fuck off. It's coming. It's coming for you. Sorry, Daniel. But being a copywriter, regardless of your experience, isn't going to matter in 2 to 5 years. Not a viable business, even with AI, because any dude can do it. And think about all the business gurus out there. 80% of them are teaching you to be a marketer. And a copywriting falls into that. So
very dangerous, yeah.
There's such a glut that most of the business gurus and most of the businesses they help to create will fail in the next few years. On my blog, my Caleb Jones blog, the business blog, this week or next week, my article is industries that are not going to be threatened by AI. And I just give you the list, and you can go down that list and pull. It's not a niche, not niches. You got to find your own niche, but industries. So you can find a niche in those industries. That's coming either probably next week. Today's Thursday, so soon. So watch the blog. Is this a clearly defined specific niche? Single or divorced men 35 plus who are dissatisfied with Western life and want to rebuild? No. And we don't recommend B2C niches anymore at all. But no, that's not narrow enough. Way more narrow if you're going to do B2C, which Billy and I do not recommend. We've talked about this. We don't recommend B2C anymore for your first business. If you're dying to do B2C, go ahead, but it's harder. And if you want to do B2C, that is too broad, much, much more narrow. Here's the other problem. So many dudes come up with stuff like this. So many dudes. It's the same as women who want to do like wedding planning or baking cupcakes.
Yeah, that's right.
Everyone wants to do it. It's sexy. How are you going to find those people? Those people aren't going to be climbing out of the woodworks to say, I'm lonely, dissatisfied, and I want some cheap chick in Latin America, right? There are very few places to find those people. It's hard to find those individuals. And they're usually going to be broke if they're divorced men 35 plus. They probably have kids. They probably have no fucking money. They probably, even if they want to move there, can't do it because they have kids and responsibilities. Terrible, terrible niche to do anything sexy like that. So if you think it sounds really cool, don't do it. Find the boring things that actually have problems.
Boring niches are more profitable than the sexy ones. True. We've been saying that for a while now. How do people feel about the...
Hold on for 1 second. Guys, I'm going to remind you that this is not the Caleb Jones Pick Up Cheap Women channel. So all of these questions about sex and condoms, like ask
just ignore them. We're not going to answer those questions here. Just ignore them.
I'm just telling you guys, like it's not like
find it upset and just ignore them.
Go down.
I always say I don't discuss women on this channel. I don't discuss women on this channel. I don't discuss women on this channel. I've said that 10,000 times.
Grow up, guys.
Bypass your questions. Talk to my come next Wednesday and ask me all those questions.
Yep. Grow up and ask those questions in the right place, please.
And Billy's going to blow her fucking head off. You
It's
keep talking about condoms.
It's a waste of my time, guys. You have two amazing resources in front of you, and you want to talk about the lowest common denominator bullshit. It's a really waste of our time. So please, let's ask awesome questions, not cheap ones.
How do they feel in Paraguay about the darker skinned people? So in places like Brazil, you definitely have a caste system where whiter people are treated better than the darker skinned people. That's absolutely true. In Paraguay, it works a little differently. Like I said, they're more mellow here. So it's not as casty here. The only casty stuff you do see is people who live out in what they call the Chaco, which is the farmer, like the immigrant, what do you call them? The Guarani people. I don't know what to call them. The indigenous-ish people who speak Guarani, they treat them like shit. But they're usually not in Asuncion, so you really don't see that here. But in terms of the darker skinned people and the lighter skinned people here, I have not seen a big difference in how they're treated. I mean, they probably are in the business world, maybe a little, but have you seen it?
What I look like I'm super white Susan over here with red hair. I stand out. My favorite thing to do on 2 different trips, I was there with like very dark skinned young African American men, like really dark dudes. And when the 2 of us walk around, people would like stop and stare. And people do that. Like Coach Jonathan, who's on the Boss Cooperative coaching team, is in Paraguay right now. He is a dark skinned man, and he is like a freaking god down there because he's so novel. He's so unique. He does very, very well indeed, interacting with people and catching their attention.
Yeah, if you have a darker skin, you'll be just fine. We've had Asian guys down here do fine. We've had like Middle Eastern looking guys down here do fine. The women here are very nice. Yes,
it's novelty. And anywhere else
with the men too, it's fine. Yeah, it's right. No one comes to Paraguay. There's no reason to come here. So when Billy's right. When you come, they go, "Oh, cool! Oh, wow, an Americano, cool."
Oh, like,
if you have children, yeah, what the hell is that? If you have children with Paraguay PDM or anyone in Paraguay, does you homeschool or private school? There are private school here. They're kind of shitty because it's Paraguay. Homeschool, I don't think that's a thing here.
That's super not true. I think that we need to bring some people from our Dutch expat community in because there are some very good private schools indeed.
There are?
Yeah.
Okay.
That is
I guess I wouldn't know. Okay.
Definitely doing private schools.
Okay, cool. For Western level good private schools?
Yeah. Like absolutely, yeah, because they're led by Western educators. In fact, one of the people on our trip last year visited a couple of the schools because he has children of that age.
Outside of picking a good niche and finding their biggest problem, what's the most common problem? Billy, you should take this one. Most common mistake you see new entrepreneurs make when trying to start a new location-dependent business. I know you got to answer that.
Number one.
You can talk for an hour about that.
I know, like they're the top 2 things I see are trying to do something really stupid that is to an individual consumer. How the fuck are you going to find an individual consumer? The much easier route to doing everything is to sell to a business because you can find them and reach decision makers easily, and they're not spending their own money, right? Biggest mistake ever. The second is to try to fit your skills and what you want to give people into the niche. Like most people do so much.
Oh my God, yes.
Like removing.
Oh my God, that's so hard.
It's not about you. It's not about what you can do. It's about what they need, what their problems are, and then you come up with the solution. Does that mean you personally have to figure out how to provide that solution? Of course not. You're the CEO. You're the coach. You're the strategist. You're not the freaking groundskeeper. You don't have to know every detail. It doesn't matter. You figure it out as you go, and you get the right resources. And the other one is everyone wants to do something sexy and cool. It's the dumbest thing you can do. You will waste time. You will have significantly more competition, and you will be creating more difficulty for yourself than is necessary.
And it's a higher barrier to entry, a lot of reasons. But when you define your niche, you don't define your niche. When you pick your niche, uncover their problem, and then come up with your offering. Hopefully it is a service or consulting. You need to take yourself out of it, which is really hard to do. I mean, I understand it's hard to do, but I'm good at this, so I want to sell this. That's very hard to start a business that way. You can do it. It's possible. But we want you making money quickly, which means you got to ask them what they want and then solve their problem. If you don't know how, hire someone at Upwork to solve their problem.
Yep.
That's how you make money fast. Yes, she's right. If the West collapsed, where would you secure income to survive in these countries? You would not secure income so let's say you lived in Paraguay and America collapses, okay? And your income's coming from America. You don't want to secure income from Paraguay because they don't have a lot of money down here. So where would you go? You go to other high income locales that are not in the West. They're doing it like Dubai or places like that. Asia, Japan. You look to non-Western places that do well financially. You make money from them, and then you live in Paraguay and you're a little king on your $2,000 a month.
Right. And that's why the business builder is so important, because we teach you the process of creating a business from idea to first client with all of the steps in between. This means that you can easily replicate that process and create multiple businesses. That is the true power of this program. So that means you can start a new iteration in a different country. You can start a new business altogether in a different country, have multiple revenue streams. That's the biggest value we can give you for the rest of your life.
Huge. Multiple revenue streams, which I've been saying since 2013. Yes. Multiple streams, correct. I've got about 16 of them. Well, less now because I've cut a bunch off, but I'm still up to maybe 10. Yes. Yeah. You want multiple. Right. Do you normally take an Uber when you need to go buy groceries, or do you order online and get them shipped to your home? I don't order groceries. I have a chef who I mentioned this earlier, who delivers once a week, just like I do in Dubai, but I'm special. So you can do that because labor is very cheap here, costs very cheap. I don't own a car. I never will. So yeah, when I usually walk though. It's walking distance for these things.
A live-in housekeeper full-time with their own little room in your apartment or house or whatever is about $300 a month. They'll just do the shopping for you.
You could live with a housekeeper. In Dubai, it's $800. So it's cheap there, but Paraguay, yeah, it's $300 or even less. Yeah, it's easy. When do you suggest we start setting flags up after we start our 2.0 business? This is the most common question I get. Here's the common overall answer. Leave the collapsing West as soon as you're able. You don't say, I need to set up my business and make all this money and then I can leave Canada. No. If you're able to leave now, leave. If you can't leave because you have a job, you have no money in savings, you have little kids, then fine. You leave as soon as you, it's not like do this, then do this. They both need to get done ASAP. So if you have the ability to leave or leave in the next 6 months, I just did a video on this 2 weeks ago, just because you can't leave on Saturday doesn't mean you can't ever leave. So if you can leave within the next 6, 7, 8 months, fucking leave. Leave. Go set up in your new flag. Then figure out your business. If you can't do that, then do your business first and leave as soon as you can. It's not one or the other. It's not one, then the other. It's not start my business, then leave. It's not leave, then start my own business. You're thinking too logically, guys, which I know you guys think, and that's how I think too. No, they both need to be done ASAP. What I just got done saying. You got to move fast. You can't say, I'll start my business and in 2 years, I'll try to get residency in Mexico, and then I can't.
That's honestly, Caleb, that's why we offer payment plans for the residency services.
There you go.
Between 4 months and 2 years so that you can get this stuff done. We think it's that important. We know it's
Is that true with the event too, or no? Can they make payments on the event?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, guys. Okay, so the event that we're doing in September, you can make payments depending on your country and your credit score and all that shit. Up to 2 years, you can make payments. There you go. Cool.
We want to make this stuff easy.
Few more questions. I can't answer all these questions. I'm going to pick out questions after a part.
One thing about the barking dogs, I think that is more neighborhood specific for you, because in the 2 neighborhoods I've stayed in, I've never had that dog problem ever. However, at one of the places I stayed, I did have a little difficulty with like the restaurants and bars being open late at night, because they do stay up until like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. And I'm really sensitive to noise. So there was one apartment I stayed in. It was just the location of that apartment in the building. Other apartments I've stayed in, I didn't have that problem, but I've never had that dog problem. Never.
Interesting. I've had it everywhere I've stayed, but I've stayed always in, Recoleta and Villamora, Iguaceti, that little,
you're not I don't know. Fancy as me at all. Like, yeah, you're just not as fancy as me. I think that's the difference.
True. I'm gonna focus on questions up to with Paraguay. We'll answer a few more and then we gotta go. Do ambulances work and arrive quickly if you call them? Okay, Miguel, if that's your biggest concern, you're being a pussy. This is a Western, but what if this happens? I don't know the answer to that, but I did a whole thing where I went to a hospital here and they fixed me right up and I was fine. So I don't concern myself with this. But
a friend of mine is a surgical nurse, oncology surgical nurse, like dealing with children's cancers. They have advanced medicine. This is the same as other third world countries. There are rural places that are facing much more deprivation, but when you're in a city center or near it, you don't have those depredations. Like you're fine. You're fine. Yes, they have ambulances. Yes, they will pick you up. The one downside is that it can be expensive, but it is not like American expensive. We're talking like maybe $1,000
expensive
or
for
something.
Paraguay,
Like
so it's still fucking cheap. When I was at that hospital last year, was it last year? Yeah. I mean, I was there for hours. I had a lot wrong with me, and they fixed me right up. It cost me the entire hospital stay. They did a lot of stuff to me, plus the prescriptions, $62 US. And I just took an Uber home. It's fine. It's so funny
for that at home in the US.
Yeah, no shit. What's their gun control policy? It is more strict in the US, but it is the most, my understanding is, I'm not into guns, but my understanding is it is the most open gun friendly country in the entire Latin world. I've heard this from several people I know. Can you buy an AK-47 here? No, but I don't know the details.
Yeah.
Look, you can get a gun here. Yes, you can get guns here. Guys have guns here. Yeah.
And they have a pretty active and growing, it's small but active and growing libertarian party as well.
That's true. That's accurate.
It's run by complete lunatics, but you know what? You take the good with the bad.
Someone who lives in Paraguay saying you see hot girls with busted guys at Shopping del Sol all the time. Yes, Shopping del Sol, Shopping Mariscal, everywhere, dude.
It's not very good looking. There's not much to choose from, so
it's so that's good if you're a guy. Yeah. Scrolling down, looking for questions. When arriving in Asuncion for a long-term stay, is it better to rent an Airbnb for 1 or 2 months before arriving, or just book the first week and then search for a person long-term rent? That's up to you. Generally, what I recommend is the standard Tim Ferriss thing. If you're going to be here for like 2 months, then yeah, get a hotel room, super cheap. You can stay at the nicest Sheraton for super cheap here in Asuncion. And then, yeah, take your time and look around. Go look at Airbnbs if you're going to be there for 2 months. You don't want to get an Airbnb for 2 months and be locked in and not like it. But yeah, I if it's staying for 3 weeks, then no, just get an Airbnb. But if it's a month or two, yeah, that's what I would generally recommend. You don't have to though.
One clarifying, you have to do it. No, I have nothing to do with your joke of an Alpha 2.0 world. I think it's disgusting, repulsive. Have nothing to do with it. No.
Just ignore those questions.
I think it's funny, but I'm also like, dude, are you that fucking dumb? Have you never seen me before? No, gross. Move on.
Billy hates Alpha 2.0. Don't even go there.
It's just more alpha than they are. They couldn't even keep up. But there's a really
that part. Some of that's accurate, actually.
There's a good point that Wes made that I want to get to, and that is, of course, Duolingo will not ever get you fluent in Spanish. I have not tried Rocket Spanish. That sounds like a cool one, and I'm glad you're having success with it. I'm using Speak Like a Local because some friends of mine are involved in that, and that's working for me. But doing something is better than doing nothing. Like Jason
do something.
Dreaming Spanish on YouTube. I've listened to a few of those. Thanks for that tip a few weeks ago, Jason. Doing something is better than doing nothing. You will learn more than you believe.
Can Auntie Billy share her 5 flags countries residencies, please? I mean, the residency she offers, well, we don't offer Armenia anymore. So it's Dubai, Paraguay, Mexico, those 3, right, at the moment. And then for Americans, South Dakota if you're an American.
Correct.
Right.
If people are interested, we also consult on Ecuador and Panama right now, and we're working on putting together a Vietnamese team.
Cool.
But those are not as formalized an offering. If you want to talk about that, all you have to do to talk about any of these, any of the residencies, the intensive event in Mexico, schedule a call with me. When you hit the schedule a call button on the Boss Cooperative website, do you know who you talk to? This girl, the boss lady. because
just
I
talk
like
to her.
talking about this stuff. It's a good use of my time.
Yep. Can you find long-term rents without the cedula? Yes, but it's difficult. You're going to need help on the ground here from someone on the ground to do that if you don't have a cedula.
You need to know a real estate agent or a good lawyer. Usually what you need to plan to do, especially if you don't have a cedula, is you're going to pay 6 or 12 months in advance of your rent. That's usually going to solve for that issue.
Does it cost anything more on top of the event fee? No, the event fee is all inclusive, everything. You pay one fee and you're done. Flight, hotel, food, alcohol.
One small caveat is that I think there are something like 100 and some different cities that will fly you out if that are included. If your city is not on that list, you will have to get to the city, the nearest city. There may be a small additional cost.
So it depends where you live. Yeah. If you live in an oddball city, but Billy will discuss that with you on the phone. There's a click to schedule a call with Billy. She'll figure all that out.
Exactly.
I can tell Huberman has watched your dating stuff and based on a podcast, your relationship therapist. Yeah, there's several famous people who have done my stuff. Yes, I know. All right, let's do one more. A lot of you guys are going to Paraguay already here. This is really cool. Those of you who are watching this video on YouTube as the recording, or if you're listening to the podcast, on the YouTube video, go to the upper right and look at the chat, and you're going to see a whole bunch of guys who are talking about Paraguay, who are already here, who fucking love it, and they're corroborating what I'm saying, and there's a whole bunch of guys who are about to move here. I mean, Paraguay's the shit, dude.
It is. And we also have a group in Boss Cooperative that meets the first Sunday of every month. And we literally talk about residency abroad with some of the guys who are on the ground there right now. So Caleb doesn't have enough time to be involved in all of those. Unfortunately, we've tried to get him, but myself, Jonathan, and a bunch of the other coaches and people who spend considerable time there are on that call. And it's another place where you guys can actually jump in and talk and share your stories, but we do not talk about chicks.
Right. All right. One more question. I got to go. Do you have health insurance in Paraguay or do you just pay a la carte? I have an international health insurance that I don't even need. I don't see the point in buying health insurance in Paraguay because it's so goddamn cheap. And if you have a real problem like cancer or you need a heart transplant, you're not going to do that in Paraguay. You're going to go to Panama or, Malaysia or Dubai or United States, do that. So it's not, you don't really need health insurance here.
Keep in mind also, I would keep in mind also that a lot of the medical professionals in Paraguay were trained in America and Europe. There is a lot of prestige in having foreign training.
Yes.
And so that is a resource that is more plentiful than you would believe. The standards are much different than you would think when you hear the words third world country or emerging country.
Correct. The link for the event in Cancun on September 10th, or you can get residency on top of that, is bosscooperative.com/events. I will be there. Billy will be there. There's another 5 or 6 coaches on top of that. And it's 4 days or 5?
It's 5 days.
5 days in Cancun. I've been to Cancun since my first marriage. I've been a long time. Cancun's awesome. So you're interested. And then, like I said, or like Billy said, when you go there, you click the button, you can schedule a call there before you do it to get all your questions answered.
Exactly.
Cool.
And we'll help set you guys up. If you decide to work with us, our lawyers will help you. I know there are some questions in the chat, like how do you minimize the risk of being denied at the Mexican consulate for the visa? That's why you talk to our legal teams ahead of time. They brief you and prep you.
Schedule a call with Billy. It's free. Cool. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Billy. It's great.
Good seeing you, Caleb. Can't wait to be down in Paraguay in a few months with you. But I have
That's
to get
right.
back.
Be awesome.
Have to go to Dubai and Pakistan before that. So, oh rats.
God, you're traveling as much as I am now. Yeah.
I like it.
Cool. All right, guys. Thank you, guys. Bye.